2023 has been quite the interesting year when it comes to professional wrestling. I mean, think about just these examples alone. CM Punk was in AEW just a few months ago, and then an incident at Wembley so shocking it made Tony Khan fear for his life. He didn't know what the hell he was going to do. Oh, I'm cowering. I am so concerned. Punk, you are fired with cause. Oh, he's back in WWE after a nearly decade-long hiatus with a lot of opponents that he could face, a lot of money, and a lot of buzz. And Tony Khan's left holding a bag that really just has a rock in it. Tony Khan is basically Charlie Brown, but somebody moved the football away from him, ironically, considering he has something to do with the Jacksonville Jaguars, a while ago. And then, on the flip side, we have Vince McMahon selling off his stock options, and maybe Endeavor's just going to kick him out the goddamn door, and he's going to go to the Cayman Islands. Ha! I came in that paralegal, and a few others. Ha ha ha! But yeah, there's been some great moments from WWE, AEW, and other companies. Big, small, large, tall, doesn't matter. Whatever company you enjoy, whatever companies, whatever brand of wrestling you enjoy, there have been a lot of great things. I'm here to talk about the flip side. The stuff that I really didn't goddamn like. Stuff that made me question why the fuck did I stick with wrestling after War to Sell Score in 1985 when I was only 4 years old, captivated by these people, and I'm thinking at 42 years old, nearly 43, Jesus, these matches made me question my fandom. So let's get to it. I'm John Rutland with my 15 least favorite matches of 2023 list with some honorable mentions. Let me know your list in the comments, please. Top 5, top 10, whatever. Let's try to make it to where I don't have to, have a birthday during the comments. I kid. I always love you guys commenting. I really do. And I'm going to try to keep this a little bit short and sweet on some of these because I have reviewed these matches in full on other reviews. And I just want to take a moment, by the way, before I get a little bit angry, to once again thank you guys for sticking with me. If you're a new subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing. If you're one of the original subscribers, if you're somebody that's been subscribed for a few years, whether you watch one video, you watch, clips of all of them, whatever, I really do appreciate it because you guys have helped me through a lot of shit, and I got a lot of plans for 2024. Even as I ease back on some maybe weekly wrestling content, I'm still going to beef up stuff and keep stuff going, and even if I have breaks, I promise you all you're going to continue to get content. Even as I get older, I still got some life left in me and got some juice in me as far as doing this stuff. Even though I'm, at times run out of wind, you guys keep me going. And it's fun to talk about wrestling. So, yeah, let's get to that with the honorable mentions. So, Anarchy in the Arena, Double or Nothing. Look, I don't like these matches. The Wild Thing singer with blackface was definitely a choice. The Exploding Sneaker and all that stuff. I mean, some of these matches blend together that I'm just afraid I'm going to forget some spots and mix up some spots and everything. But Jesus fucking Christ. I got the point as to why they were going to do this, but man, it was a mess. It was a mess. I knew it was going to be a mess, and I don't mind it, involving weapons and doing some crazy spots, but the problem is there's no control from a backstage standpoint with AEW, so that's why Anarchy in the Arena is on the honorable mentions list. You might be surprised it's not actually on the main list, but it was a little difficult to actually come up with 15, and then I just picked some to fill out the honorable mentions list. Jericho versus Adam Cole, baby. Unsanctioned match at Double or Nothing. Double or Nothing was not a very good show, and honestly, this probably should be on the worst matches list, but I don't remember it being particularly good. I did watch a little bit of it. I haven't watched it in full because, Jesus Christ, I had a birthday during it. But yeah, it was slow, it was plodding. I know they were taking their time because Adam Cole recently coming back from injury and then getting injured again. It wasn't good. It wasn't good, and Jericho just can't go anymore. And then we get to Zayn and Owens versus Judgment Day, a Steel City Street Fight, a Payback. There are people to like this. I didn't. I'm sick of the weapons-based matches, and I'm going to knock them in AEW. I got to knock them in WWE. I'm saying anything with Chase U just because I'm sick of Chase U. I don't even have anything against JC Jane or Thea Hale. Andre Chase is a fine worker. Dookie Nukie Hudson, let's do that callback, is a good worker, but there's the concept of Chase U is really fucking stupid. It's always been stupid. And Finn Balor versus Edge at Mania 39 in Hell in a Cell. I stand by what I said, that while they were hurting each other, they also were making it look really fake at the same time. And I don't really care if that offends people because this match might have meant something, but they limited Edge's dates. They wanted to preserve him and everything, but this feud went on forever, and it didn't really ultimately work because it just dragged on and on and on and on. The beat don't stop till the break of dawn. So, yeah, let's get to the list proper, why don't we? So, I'm just doing a blanket one here. Anything with House of Torture or Finley's Bullet Club, multi-man, singles. The G1 stuff was ridiculous. Chase Owens, 16, I'll pretend you said 18, and David Finley being a rotten leader, taking a bunch of young guys that have just come back from excursion and basically just stamping them down. Gabriel Kidd being a nutcase. House of Torture being abysmal. Blanket statement right there. So you told you, what do you want from me? It was a little difficult to come up with stuff that I really absolutely hated. Now we get Tony D and Stacks versus Pretty Deadly. Trunk match at Spring Break-In. Pretty much anything with Pretty Deadly makes me regret ever liking tag team wrestling because I don't care how good they are in the ring. The presentation, it's bullshit. And this was bad. They stuck them in a trunk and then seemingly threw them in the water. God, if only they could throw the creative team in the goddamn water. Let's get to number 13. Gigi Dolan and Blair Davenport, the Human Death Mask, in a lights out match. It's NXT Halloween Havoc. It was night 1 or 2. It might have been night, I don't really care. I can't review NXT Weekly anymore. I get to the point where it's bothered me. Even the positives just don't outweigh the bullshit. They have too much cartoonish shit. And while I understand wanting to do something a little bit different, literally turning the lights out is not a good idea. So you have purple lighting. It's like Grimace came all over the goddamn, performance center. You're welcome for that. That's what's in the secret sauce, the secret sauce, as it were. And this was garbage. It was absolute garbage, and the bumps were stupid. And I don't see the appeal of Blair Davenport. I don't think she's really that good of a worker. And Gigi has about peaked. She looks good, and that's about that. And she's not bad in the ring. I met her at multiple indie shows. She was very nice. But I think she's about peaked as a worker. And she stayed in WWE for a while. I'm happy for her. Maybe they'll do better matches next year, but this lights out match, it was gimmicky, it was dumb, and that's why it's here. Number 12, Moxley versus Hangman Texas Death Match. Is that Revolution, I believe? So many of these Texas Death Matches, don't worry, we are not done with the Texas Death Match stipulation. I don't mind if you want to do violent matches and actually make it mean something, and they had a bit of a story with Mox and Hangman. The issue, or rather, one of the biggest issues with this is it was stop, start. Yes, Hangman had a legit concussion. Glad he's doing well. And Moxley also has issues, like when Phoenix dropped him on his head. That was after this. It just wasn't good. You can bring out a few weapons and make it mean something, but when you just have weapons for the sake of it, you are not trying to have a good match. You are just basically doing stuff that makes it seem like it literally is like a video game. And that's not good wrestling. That appeals to some people, but I'm sorry. It didn't appeal to me. And that's why it's here. Number 11, Omega versus Moxley. Steel cage match on Dynamite on the 10th of May. Look, I like that AEW has actually used the steel cage stipulation sparingly for the most part. They waited a number of months, I think at least like 4, and Cody and Wardlow had the first cage match. And there was good stuff to it, as far as how they used the cage and how the cage looked and everything. And Omega took a hell of a bump. I was afraid he'd like shred his goddamn groin with how he did that, V-trigger. The problem is then you had people battling and you had a bunch of shit going on that had nothing to do with the goddamn cage. And you got it all muddied and you got it all muddled and it just became a mess and became bullshit. And that's why it's on here. Number 10, Rousey versus Shayna, SummerSlam. Look, Rousey didn't want to be there in her last run. That was obvious. She got to work with one of her friends, and that's great. The match was boring. They booed it out of the building. The crowd did. Really good-sized crowd, by the way. And there's just no way that this match was ever going to be that good. They placed it badly on the card as well, and everybody knew that Shayna was going to win here, and that's fine that Shayna won. I'm not complaining. I certainly didn't want Rousey to win, but it was just bad. It was really, really bland. I'm glad Shayna won, and I hope to never see Rousey in a wrestling ring again. Number 9, the Women's War Games match, Survivor Series. Okay, this might be controversial. The Men's War Games match had too many weapons to me. I didn't mind the baton part with Priest, but it was what it was. You can check out my Survivor Series review to hear my full thoughts, but it's nothing even against the women involved. Honestly. Not even anything against Charlotte. You don't need to have endless weapon involvement to make a good cage, double cage, definitely in a War Games match. It waters it down. It makes the cage pointless. Like, why are you doing this? Like, because then the weapons are just around to make it more difficult for you to move around. It doesn't work. And yeah, Io got to do her trash can spot, and I like Io. Io's one of my favorite wrestlers of the year. She was in one of my favorite matches of the year. That video may be up by the time you see this, just so you know. Just a little hint right there. But, yeah, I'm sorry. The Women's War Games was just terrible. It was absolutely terrible. There was nothing redeeming about it, even though the women were hitting each other hard. I was afraid Shotzi brained herself. And, yeah, Io did the trash can spot and everything, but it was endless weapons. It was bullshit, and it dragged on forever. And even the men's, I had issues with, but there was more of a story there. There was a bit of a story in the women's match. Bayley trying to save her teammates. Can Becky and Charlotte get along? Other than that, that was it. I'm sorry. I'm going to pick one of the War Games matches to put on there. That one offended me more. Not because the women didn't work hard, but because you don't need a whole bunch of weapons. That, however, is the last women's match that you will see on this list because that's all men all the time. Number 8, Roman versus Jay Tribal Wombat at SummerSlam. Jesus, this dragged. My God, this dragged. This would not end. I think it's still going. Number 7, Blood and Guts Dynamite. That was in July. It's hard to believe that it was only that short time ago. And the thing is, I don't have an issue with them doing a War Games variation. Blood and Guts and all that. And having blood. I don't have a problem with them having blood. You do whatever. But again, like the women's War Games, if you're going to bring in weapons and you're just going to do bullshit and you're just going to make it absolutely pointless, like why even have a cage? Why not just have the weapons there? Oh, so we can do cool spots. Here's the problem. They've done every single spot they possibly can. They've done every bit of, anarchist trash, and every Blood and Guts variation somehow gets worse. No crash pad, no poof, but still really not very good, and ended up just making me quit. I understand why they don't want to put it on pay-per-view. They don't want to put away or take out that many seats and everything. They want to have as many seats as possible, but maybe they might want to actually try putting the next Blood and Guts on pay-per-view. They probably won't put it all in because they really want to have as many seats as possible. But maybe instead of having it on Dynamite, you put it on pay-per-view. Provided that AEW still has a television show through all of 2024. Because I don't know when their next rights deal is up. And I don't know, Warner Bros. Discovery is going to bring Raw over. How hilarious would that be? The Blood and Guts match, just not good. Not good at all. And then we get to Kingston and Jarrett, Memphis Street Fight on Collision. I was offended by this. Dave Brown was there. Memphis announcer legend. Great team with Lance Russell. They made Eddie look like a putz. Jarrett is better than this, even in his mid-50s. Karen was there, so that's an automatic just disqualifier for this match being anything worth it because Karen is not worth a good goddamn when it comes to wrestling. And it was bad. It was really, 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 really fucking bad. Number 5, Firm Deletion. It's Matt Hardy with his delete bullshit. It was on Rampage. They edited this. And it was still bad. Every single one of these deletion matches has just been trash. It was fine at first. At least it was something different. That doesn't mean it was good. But even when they got to WWE, it was bad. And then he's been allowed to do his creative stuff in his, broken universe. And he's doing this to hide the fact that he can't fucking walk anymore, and neither can Jeff. Speaking of Jeff shouldn't be in a goddamn ring anymore. But this was just, no. This was not good. Firm Deletion. If only I could delete this from my memory. Sad thing is that I don't even remember all the participants involved. I think Ethan Page was in it. Like, that's how little, like, the participants mattered in this. Anytime Matt Hardy is able to do this stuff, I just remember being offended watching all this trash, this cinematic bullshit, all this money being spent when they could spend it on something that could actually be beneficial to the program. It was on Rampage. This is actually back when I watched Rampage. I don't watch Rampage anymore, at least not that often, because why? Yeah, firm deletion. Not good. Never has been. Number 4, Stadium Stampede All In. Battle around a goddamn stadium and do a bunch of stuff and make all the people that paid these tickets, especially for the front row, watch as people maybe are battling around the ring and doing stuff and it's bullshit. It's like the Aaron Arqueef in the arena, Stadium Stampede, all this stuff. Like, I understood why they did it during the pandemic. I understand that, because WWE did a lot of bullshit during the pandemic, but they had to think outside the box. None of the Stadium Stampedes have been any good, and this is more proof. It's just people going out there, whether they're veterans, whether they're young people, going out there doing a bunch of bullshit, a bunch of weapon spots, and that's it. And then we get to number 3. Speaking of weapon spots, Jeff Jarrett versus Jeff Hardy. A lot of Jeffs in this goddamn thing. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, death match thing, something or other. Bad luck. They got paid for this, a sponsorship for the video game, and they took that money and donated it to charity. So I'm not faulting that. I will fault the quality of the match. And it was a Texas Chainsaw Massacre Championship because Tony Khan went the Nick Goulas route and just had a drawer full of belts. I would not be surprised, actually, if Tony Khan has a bunch of belts that he has on back order. But this was dog shit. Jeff Hardy can't move anymore. Jeff Jarrett is in his mid-50s and can still move better than half the goddamn roster. That is saying something. This was really, really bad. And Karen Jarrett again was involved. That trash heap. Number 2, the Like a Dragon street fight, where Paul White pretty much is done. I would not be surprised if we don't see Paul White on AEW programming again, and if he's not just done in AEW in general. That wasn't just a way to write him off and let him write out his contract and go back to WWE to be inducted in the Hall of Fame or something, because, I mean, he got signed, in 2021? And I recognize that Paul White feels he has something to contribute, and maybe he does backstage, but he looks frail, he's hurt, his size, even though he has taken better care of himself, he had no business being in the ring, and that slam on the car hood, I'm glad that he was able to walk out under his own power, at least I hope so. But that, Kota Ibushi on a goddamn bike, doing the DDT Pro stuff that I don't like. Some people do, and that's fine. But all this trash. Check out my Dynamite review because I went a little more in-depth on that. But this was just not good. Yes, it was for a video game. Sponsorship, money. They probably gave that money to charity. Let's move on. Number 1, and people are probably going to hate me for this because I like one of these guys. Swerve versus Hangman, Texas Death Match of Full Gear. I will explain why. The deathmatch aspect doesn't mean that you need to actually literally try to kill each other. Just want to say that. You can make it impactful, use weapons, use stuff, or a well-built feud like this. All things considered, all the goofiness, breaking in the house, all that stuff, and even the overdone stuff that they've done. Going into Wrestle Dream, one of my favorite matches of the year. What they did, I was there. Even if I wasn't there, I still would have liked it. I liked it more because I was there. But you can't tell me that the blood drinking and the cinder block stuff and all that crap was any good. Yes, Swerve won, and great, but I went very much in depth, on this, on my Full Gear review, but god damn, this match, it basically made me question whether I'm going to actually end up reviewing World's End, and it made me question how much more of AEW's programming I want to watch, and I have honestly been disenfranchised with that and with the Jay White MJF stuff. That match taking forever and a day, that's never. Yeah, Swerve versus Hangman, not good, no. And I'm sorry, and I like Swerve, and I hope Swerve gets a world title run out of this. But fuck, the match was bad. It was really, really, really fucking bad. If you liked it, great. Those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, please. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.